Yes, people, I hope that we are good. So today's episode, we have got the infamous, the notorious, or the enigma, I like to describe him, who is Sean Casey. So obviously I'm in a little bit of a different environment, as you'll see. I found out on Monday that I needed to be in Dubai to sort a few things on Tuesday evening, and I'd actually forgot about an email. So I had to basically pack my bags, pack up my recording kit, rent an iMac, and be in Dubai 24 hours later. And just as a little bit of a funny story is I flew business to try and have a good night's sleep. And on the flight, I was next to a 18-month-year-old baby, and I also got food poisoning, so I actually couldn't enjoy any of the business class food. So I hope that you enjoy that at my expense. But yeah, this is, and there's a few other things as well, which I've just told Sean. Uh,
There's a
this
few
is,
missing pieces to that story, but
yeah.
we'll let the people's imagination run through with food poisoning and how that turned out.
Yeah, so obviously I wanted to get Sean on. So I worked with Sean for a very, very long time, and is someone who become an incredible friend. I've not actually prepared any questions for today because I've got kind of a bit of a freestyle kind of going on. Obviously, you all kind of know Sean, or you should know Sean, but I'll just let him introduce himself and introduce what he does today.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on, Ben, because obviously it's been quite a transformational journey compared to when I first reached out to the position I was in with my businesses and stuff like that. It was all going very well, but since working with you and all the crazy shit that's happened over the past few years, I'm now in a position that people often say I'm in a position that I once dreamed of, but I never once dreamed to be sitting in the position that I'm in now with the businesses and the app and the social circle and all of that stuff. So it's absolutely fucking crazy. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. But who is Sean Casey? Sean Casey is some fucking twerp that started making videos in his ma's kitchen a few years ago during lockdown because he spent multiple years of his life just like launching into as much drinking drugs as possible, and he wanted to do something a bit different with his life. So lockdown came and I couldn't go out drinking or sniffing gear, so I decided to start reading books. And after I started reading books, I was like, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel because I was at uni at the time, wasn't really interested in the course, but I was like, if I make a YouTube channel on fitness, on fat loss, and I can get 1,000 subscribers, eventually I might be able to turn 30 of them 1,000 subscribers into paying clients and match the income that I would make from doing a graduate job with something that I'm actually passionate about. So that was my goal at the start. That was my dream at the start, to be a personal trainer with 30 clients and 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I just had a real passion for what I was talking about. I really enjoyed making videos, even when I wasn't making money. I enjoyed helping people. I enjoyed simplifying things, and I enjoyed just being different than the majority of personal trainers that you see online. I'm lighthearted, I'm extremely laid back, and I just feel like I bring a different approach to the typical. Personal trainer, so I enjoyed making videos with that sort of style, and then it just turned a bit crazy. So when I done it at the start, I wasn't making money. I was still at uni. After 8 months, the following and stuff was trickling up. Everything was going well, and so I started doing a bit of online one-on-one coaching. And then at the time, I built a gym in my garage and was doing one-on-one in-person coaching as well. And then I continued to do that for about a year. The following continued to grow. I launched the Sean Casey Academy, which is a group coaching platform. The same month, I launched my first recipe ebook, and then after that, I started helping some one-on-one fitness clients. That it was a natural progression, sort of, from fitness coaching into helping people with social media, but it wasn't like I done that on purpose at the start. I coached some people one on one for fitness that decided that they were into fitness and they wanted to become personal trainers. So these were just PT clients that I had, and I was like, oh, I know a thing or two about social media. I could help you out with that. And so when I had these one on one online clients, I started teaching them about social media and business as well. I helped. They've got hundreds of thousands of followers today. Everyone that I helped at the very start, that was just a PT client. So I started helping people do that by accident, and then realized I was actually quite good at it. And the first person that actually ever approached me specifically for business or social media coaching was Evan Daly. Believe it or not, this little Galway guy with a few hundred followers, he reached out to me on Instagram, sent me a voice note, and was all like, hey Sean, I'm not even going to try and do Evan's accent. He was like, Sean, I was just wondering if you do any business or social media coaching. I've seen your page, and I looked on his page and he did have a few hundred followers. But I watched one of his videos and I was like, fuck, this little kid actually has potential. Said little kid, he's the same age as me. So I started coaching Evan to help him with his social media, to help him with his business, helped him blow up. And then I started doing that for multiple other people. And then that spiraled into launching the Social Circle, which is basically like, it started off as a social media course. It's more of a social media mentorship now. But yeah, everything stemmed from posting on social media, wanting to actually help people. And it's mental what it's got to now in terms of we have the Social Circle. We have 4 recipe books now. We have Glean App, which was the next progression from the Glean App was the next progression from the Sean Casey Academy, which was actually building my own app, and I've done that with Evan Daly. So me and Evan, he started off as my client. I helped him build his social media, helped him build his business, and Evan basically got to the stage where he had an identical business model to me in terms of our group coaching, and he's just a fucking grafter. So when I was deciding to create the app, he was literally, before I'd even really decided I was creating the app, it was Evan that I rang and to see if he wanted to do it with me. So it's been me and him making Glean App together from the very start. And now obviously it's got to the stage where it's a fucking incredible app. We've had countless updates. So yeah, everything, you might look at what I have now and be like, it's fucking mental how that's all happened in such a short period of time. But I think the thing with me is everything is just, it was either I just happened to do this and I'll give it a go, and then it was naturally led to whatever. But for me, every time I seen an opportunity, I thought about it just enough to make sure that it would work, and then I went and fucking took action on it. So like, again, it went from one-on-one in person, one-on-one online, Sean Casey Academy, ebooks, helping people, the PT clients with their social media and business, then specifically helping people do that. Once I realized I could help 5 or 6 people, I created the Social Circle course, and then once the academy was going so well, I created the app. So I don't sit around on things too long. It's just very much go, 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 and it has been go, go, go the past few years to get to where I'm at now. But I'm in a nice position now. I'm fucking not trying to do any new businesses or start any new mad ventures. I've got Glean Up, I've got Social Circle. I'm enjoying running them and enjoying the building the community in them, and I'm just very content now. I'm content, and as much as I've grown and done all of this crazy shit over the past few years, I've got to a stage now where everyone's like, "What's next? What's next? What's next? What are you doing next?" I'm like, "I'm chilling." You know what I mean? I'm focusing on what I've got now, because I was always the guy that always was doing something new. But now I've realized I'm very happy with what I've got, and I just need to make what I've got better, build the community in it. So that was a bit of a long-winded answer into who I am and what I do, but it gives a bit of a backstory into all the different businesses. And I suppose where you came into it was at the start of the Glean App process. So we'd started building Glean App, and then I came to you and was all, I'm building an app at the minute. I have Social Circle, I have this, and you were like, right. Yeah. Fuck, this is mental. We're going to continue building this app. We're going to launch a new ebook, and we're going to completely rebuild and rebrand the Social Circle. And we're doing all of this 2 years work within the space of 4 months. So when I started working with you, it was like, fuck. It was a mental amount of work. My head was a bit fucking spiraled for a while, but it was well worth it. It was well worth it.
I still remember the first call. I can remember it like it was yesterday. The first call that I had with Sean, and it was about like the Glean App, and I was looking at Glean App, and then I was looking at Social Circle, and I was like, and I basically kind of highlighted like, look, how you're currently running Social Circle is great, and you're making good money, but there's a better way that we can be doing it. There's a different model, there's a different package that's going to have unlimited scalability. It's going to still provide the same, if not more, value to your clients. So in essence, for you to have enough time to run that company and run Glean App, I need to basically help you and I'm not talking like adding a few new courses in here and there. I was like, in essence, Sean completely rebuilt Social Circle, right? And that is not some easy task in any way, shape or form. And I remember looking at Glean App and looking at everything. I said, right, you want to do all this in the next 6 months? And I was like, yeah. And I said, right, this is going to be the worst 6 months of your life.
I'm still recovering from it, bro.
But I said, and I'm always very transparent with that. And I was like, to put this into perspective, guys, like Sean has now built and launched a multi-7 figure enterprise, right? So when I turn around and say, right, it's the worst 6 months of your life, people straight away just turn around and go, oh, well, how's it fucking worst 6 months of your life when you're earning that much money? It's still rough. When you want to push to the type of levels and leagues that Sean is in, people think that, and I've seen it. So I actually had comments from this before, like last year, and it's like, oh well, it's easy because he's got 2 million followers. And I was like, you don't understand that guy has had to build an app, build social circle while maintaining his content and obviously looking after himself as well. Like, there's never any easy road to doing this. And I feel like that's what a lot of people think now. It's the case of, and there's almost an epidemic of it. It's the influencers who are coming through, blown up on social media, but they're not getting the business side right. So they've got shitloads of hundreds of thousands of followers, but they've got no monetized audience. So, and that's the people who are thinking, well, if I just get really good at content, then I'm gonna come through and everyone's gonna be happy go lucky. Sean's an enigma, and I remember the first time I think I sent him a fucking picture. We had this weird thing going on. Like, it got proper weird for like 6 months. Like, every time Sean did something or I did something, we'd change each other's names in WhatsApp. So, like...
This is going to be so hard to even explain.
Yeah, I can't...
Like, people being like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, like, so you were almost like... You were saved on the phone as like, Sean Casey... book workhorse. I can't remember what it was, but we tried to like gamify and make the process as fun as it possibly could, but because it were a rough process for both of us, obviously running all three of these things, but it still took a shitload of graft. And and that's one thing that really pisses me off, is when people turn around and look at people like Sean and think, oh well, he's got it easy. He's had to do the same amount of work as anyone else, and one thing that Sean has been obsessive with since day one is making sure that he's always maintaining that buy into his community. And the reason that I called Sean the Enigma, I think I sent him a picture of a unicorn or something daft like that. I think it was a man riding a unicorn or something daft like that, and I sent him, and he was like, what's an enigma? And I told him to Google it, and he was like, do you get what I mean? And that is Sean. Sean can do things that other people cannot do. I can't.
Give the definition of enigma for anyone that doesn't know what it is.
Let me Google it. And then you'll understand what I'm saying.
And just to explain that better, what Ben was talking about, every time something happened between us, we would add it into our names on WhatsApp. So if, like, just randomly, if, say, for example, Ben's in Dubai here and we were having the crack about Ben in Dubai and then him having food poisoning, I would write Ben, I would change his name to Ben Dubai Shitty Pants and then if something else happened where, like, we were talking about something else, like, say his mic wasn't working at the start of the call, it would like be Ben Dubai Shitty Pants Mike Hawksworth, and it got to a stage where our names, both of our names, were literally like multiple sentences long. And if we were sending like sometimes we'd be like, someone would be like, what's Ben's number? Someone said, what's Sean's number? And we would send them the screenshot of our name and be like, oh, just ignore the name and that, like, and then eventually I just changed your name to Farquad. Where did Farquad come from? You said something to me. You said something.
Yeah, I was known as Farquad for ages, weren't it? It was like, I think it was something to do with being a king. I can't remember what it was. There were so many different situations or something, but yeah. So an enigma is. I'll try and find it in WhatsApp. Why Farquad started.
Yeah. You said something about this is not about how there's something to do with kings, and then I goes, okay, Farquad.
Yeah.
An enigma is a person or thing that is mysterious or difficult to understand.
Yeah, right. So that's basically it. Sean started doing shit on social media before other people started doing shit on social media, and Sean can do things that other people cannot do. So as one example, we was basically, because he rebuilt Social Circle, it was in essence like build and launch, and I was like, look, this is not the way I want to go about it, because I normally like to just go for a really kind of slow build. Like, for example, with Glean App, that were different. We spent 4 or 5 months building up to our 125,000 email list with lead magnets and different campaigns and the Glean App games and all this shit to then go into an effective launch. But Social Circle were a little bit different because you had to fucking rebuild it. And there were no build up time, there were no anything. And I was like, right, how many people you wanted to obviously get on? And he said 100. And bearing in mind, this was like packaged at, it's like anything, so to bearing in mind, anything to do, which is any product that is normally, let's say, over £250 a month would be classed at mid to high ticket. When you're running that type of product, you will normally always have to have a one-to-one high ticket acquisition structure. So you've got an appointment booking, a discovery call, and a close. We didn't have the time or the team to do that. And Sean was like, I don't need it. I think that I can do this without. And I said, and I remember turning around and like in that situation, if fucking anyone had turned around to me and said that, I'd have gone, no, I want a closing team in place. But because Sean said it to me, I just went, go for it, bro. And one thing that I want to highlight on this podcast as well is what people do not understand about Sean. He's, like I said, what I would arguably say up there, other than like people who have ran businesses for 15, 20 years, in terms of people who I know personally, is the most financially successful person I've ever met, away from like the proper big king dogs, right? Sean, even with his current status right now, Sean could earn, if he chose to earn more money, he could earn 5 times the amount of money that he does now. Now, and I want you to hear that from my voice right now. If he wanted to take on 5 times the amount of people that he has now for Social Circle, it could do tomorrow. If he wanted to double the amount of people on Glean app, it could do tomorrow, right? But what you got to take into account, and this is where Sean is very, very, very smart. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, my job is to make people fucking money, and I definitely did that for Sean with his ebooks and his companies. But Sean basically had this mindset and this balance, which is what a lot of people do not see. Like, I'm a bit in the middle ground. I'm like, look, you don't push it to the point where it's stupid, but then at the same time, you're playing it safe to a point of not maximizing on performance. And Sean was like, look, I have got everything. I remember the conversation was like, why do I need any more? That's what it comes down to. Why do I need any more, Ben? And I remember him saying that, and I was almost in a position last year where I kind of got to that point. Sean helped me with my mental health a lot in 2024. He helped me with I helped him with businesses, but he helped me in a place where I'd kind of completed my vision. I didn't know what were next. Because I didn't know what next, I had the Remy, I had a lot of pressure there, and that's why I took a lot of time out from social media. And I remember when he said that to me, and I kind of sat and looked at myself, and I was went, what else? I don't need anything else. And I said, why am I doing this? And I remember just kind of sitting and looking at my life and taking some time away from social media and coming back into this year and actually finally being myself on social media, which is funny because that's all Sean's ever told me to do is tell my real story and be myself on social media. And it turns out, guys, it works well. My reach is 10x in the last fucking 12 weeks. And Sean might actually be looking at my content and liking it now compared to ignoring it. But for example,
don't push it, bro. Don't push it.
I put these. They actually replies to my WhatsApps now, but we had a break for a bit. But for example, I think people need to know that is like sometimes, yeah, it's about pushing, it's about success, but it's also about being smart as well. And I feel like Sean's got an incredible fucking balance to that, and he's now got a business. He's got 2 high performance businesses, which have got a pool of people who are waiting in demand. Right, that is what you need in order to scale. You need supply and you need demand. What Sean has, what we don't have, is unlimited demand. But also, you've got to take into account that demand doesn't last forever. And the fact that he's now staging things out slowly, and is looking at that longevity is a skill that I've not come across with anyone at his age before. I can't count the amounts of times I've said something similar to clients where I've said, this is going to go really, really well. You don't want it to go too well. We need to be looking at closing doors and making sure we've got that next kind of phase. So my strategy for Glean app was basically to create that much of a bank of acquisition and data capture that the first 12 months would be pretty much covered with intakes. And that was basically done, and they're obviously building on that now. But with Social Circle, for example, like capping it at 100 people per time or 150 people per time, 2 sellouts in. Can you remember that? So we had your reporting channel connected to Slack.
You were like, what the fuck's going on here? Because I had told you what I'm going to do in terms of the launch. You were like, right, we're going to phase this out slowly. We'll probably do like, it's not going to sell out all on launch. It'll probably take like a month and we'll have to do DMs and stuff. And I was like, Ben, I'm going to sell this out instantly. It was something like it was like 2,500 up front, or else you had the £500 a month for 6 months, which worked out at 3 grand. But like, it's quite unheard of in the industry to be doing this without a sales call. But I think just with like results, honesty, I'm being an enigma, as Ben describes me. I knew exactly what to do to sell this out. I knew that if I was in my DMs myself, sending people personal voice notes, the thing is, like, a lot of people have business mentorships and things like that, but there's not very many people with social media mentorship, and a lot of people want to grow their following. So the results that I was putting out was quite unique compared to, it was like you couldn't really get this anywhere else. So we sold out in 3 minutes. We sold out a launch in 3 minutes, and then 6 months later, we done another launch, and we also sold that out in 3 minutes. But I want to backtrack to what, like, obviously you're making multiple hundreds of thousands of pounds within a space of minutes there, which is a bit crazy. But I want to backtrack to what Ben was saying about having enough, because for me, I'm not even doing another intake for Social Circle at the minute, because the community is great, the community is manageable, and I enjoy knowing everyone on a personal level. I enjoy running the business. Yeah, I enjoy running the business. A lot of people have money as the success metric, but they don't have their day-to-day quality of life as a success metric. What is the purpose of money? The purpose of money is to make your day-to-day quality of life better. It's to enhance your day-to-day quality of life. But so many people are sacrificing their day-to-day quality of life just to make more money, when it's pointless. You don't need any more. So again, it's a lot of people might be like, oh, it's fucking easy for you to say because you're making X amount. Fair enough. A lot of people listen to this at the minute. You're not making enough money yet. You know, you have more in you. You need to have the ideal life that you want. You need to push to make more. I'm not denying that for a large majority of people. But what you need to do is you need to write down, what do you want to be in a position to do on your day-to-day life, and your week-to-week life, your yearly life. Do you want to be able to go on holiday when you want, without really having to save up for it? Do you want to be able to fly business? Do you want to be able to give back to charity? Do you want to be able to do X, Y, Z thing? They're all big spending things that you need to be making multiple six figures for. But your day-to-day life is, you want to be able to pay your mortgage, be able to buy your children Christmas presents, birthday presents, go on one holiday a year, and not stress too much about money. That might be 5, 6K a month. That could be 4, 5K a month for you, but you are absolutely busting your balls, taking on more clients than you can handle, with the goal of making 10K a month, because you've been told that this is the necessity, or this is the gold standard for you. And an income amount looks different for everyone, but I think that you need to look at your ideal life, what you want to be able to do with your money. And for me, in terms of financially, I got to a position where I've bought basically everyone in my family a car. Orla's the only one that's waiting, and the reason that Orla's waiting is because when I bought Mum the Tesla, Orla got her A5. So Orla will be got this year, and after that, I bought everyone in my family a car, every single
Shout
person.
out, it's just a quick one, but shout out Ola, because I would have never been able to, I would have not even been able to come close to pulling off what I wanted to if it weren't for that woman. Jesus.
I'm sure we'll talk more about Orla, my sister, who's been the backbone of all my operations. But just on this topic, I've been able to buy everyone cars, pay off the mortgage, give hundreds of thousands of pounds to charity, and I can travel, I can do everything that I want. So I've got to a stage now where I'm like, the income that I'm making is enough to do everything plus more that I want to do. So for me, with the Social Circle, I could do another launch. If I built up to it, I could do another launch in a month and make 300 grand in a single day, no questions asked. But what I have to ask myself is this going to have addition to my life? Is this going to make my life better? Or is this going to add unnecessary stress, unnecessary daily workload, and going to decrease the quality of my life? I'm at a stage now where I'm trying to optimize the quality of my life. I'm trying to optimize my day to day. And another thing that a lot of people don't think about is, for me, I was so passionate about building the business and growing everything that I wasn't even like, people are like, oh, he's making all this money. Like I could have lived on £1,000 a month when I was building everything. Like, even less than that. I live at home. I don't even pay rent. So, well, I did pay off the mortgage. So that's why I don't pay rent. But my expenses are very low. But well, here's my day-to-day quality of life when I was in the growth space. Wake up, be on calls sometimes at like 6 a.m. with app developers, be in more calls with Ben's team, go create content, go build out stuff within the Social Circle, or build out something for the recipe book, or build out something for Glean app, make content, be on more calls, do a nighttime call for the Glean app or the Academy or whatever it was at the time, go to sleep, wake up, be on calls, make content,
Same again.
boom, same, and all at home. a lot of the time not really going out, not seeing people, just at home, just working and working and working. A lot of people saying it's like, oh, he's living the high life and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I have an incredible quality of life now with the travel. But when I was in that grind phase, it was very much just work, 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 go, go, go every day. And now I've got to a stage where I've built what I've built, and I don't want to go back to that. Why would I want to go back to doing that? I don't want to do 3 launches at the same time ever again in my life. I never want to do that again.
I remember saying it. I was like, when it comes to back end, and you don't like, what people don't understand is where that takes you. Takes you into such a, when you are that deep in work, which I've done so many times over the last decade, for example, like it takes you to a really strange fucking place. And I remember Sean comes to the end, and I was like, mate, you need to fuck off. Basically, I just it was like, because there were times where, because like for me, I don't support people with the businesses. I like supporting the person. I like supporting their emotion. Like little shit with Sean, like the amount of times we had a back and forth chat about those different stuff. I was forcing him to fucking get actual investments and stuff set up, and that's what I realised that I'm passionate about. And I feel like in the business mentoring sector in 2024, I kind of fell out with it all, because I was looking at what everyone else was doing, and I had a bit of comparison syndrome, and I was like, I'm not the same as these people. I never have been the same as them, and I feel like my content and what I've done and how I'm doing it is kind of almost moulded into that same crowd, and that's been the biggest difference coming into 2025, where I'm like, I'm doing this because I fucking love it and I live and breathe it. Like I spoke on my stories the other day about a kid called Jamie Jackson, who basically he sent me a video asking for some support, and something that I've wanted to do for a long time is basically help the people that can't help themselves. I started my career on the fact when I was an online coach, personal trainers, because I genuinely wanted to help people, because to get out of situations that I potentially have been in before and how I felt with myself before. And Sean was a big driver for me to kind of finding my purpose and my vision again, away from just the seeing business growth. And for example, now coming into after the event in February, you're going to see something called the Coach Consultant Foundation kicking off, and that's basically where we'll be looking at supporting the people that help people, which is obviously online coaches and personal trainers. And if it weren't for people like Sean, I don't think I'll have. The best way I could describe it is that I've got an incredible community, an incredible client base, and I want to work with the people who align to us. But Sean really kept me grounded, you could say. I think it's very easy to lose your head when you've worked with the type of people that I've worked with. Like, there's not that many people in Dubai, America, the UK, Australia, and beyond at the top level in fitness that I've not personally worked with. And so sometimes it goes really well, sometimes it's bad. Like, that's just how business goes. But for me, the person that I work with now, and the person that people that we work with, is so fucking important, because that's where I get job satisfaction. So, for example, if I'm working hard every single day, but I'm working with the right people, I don't see it as work. Like, my passion is business. My passion, like, the best way I could describe this one is my daily routine. What makes me my happiest, what makes me my most fulfilled, would be Sean's fucking nightmare. Like, when I'm up at 4 a.m., structured call diary there, writing emails there, designing that. Like, my passion is built. I love innovation and I love creativity. What I don't like is when I'm stretched out across too many bases, or if I'm on too many calls all the time. But for example, for me, with my headphones on here, building out different systems, strategies, SOPs and that, I could do that fucking day in, day out. And I love that type of element. Whereas Sean's much more people driven. If you stick Sean in a room all day on his own, he's going to suffer, right? But if you put Sean in with a group of people all day, he'll bounce, he'll collaborate, he'll do well. I do have that element, but I also have like, what's it called? Social fatigue, is it? Is it called social fatigue? If I'm in too many group situations, I get kind of quite socially exhausted with it. Like, I do like my own space. I've got ADHD and ASD, so like I like to have that kind of element. And I think that's something that I really realized working with Sean about myself. I was like, I want to make sure that what I'm doing within my own business and where I'm going is always aligned to what I actually want from all this, and that is helping the right people. Not just helping anyone or getting anyone through the door, but making sure that when someone comes into this business, they align to me, they align to my energy, and that's where I know that I get the best results from people. Because the fitness industry and business, guys, it can be a very fickle fucking place, especially when you have, like, I've had it before where people have worked with certain people and come into my company and had expectations or whatever else on that side, and I'm like, you wouldn't be coming and working with us if it had gone so well for you elsewhere. Be a little bit more open-minded. And for example, like that's the thing that I'm loving so much more this year is I feel like I've found my authentic side. I remember, like, I spoke to Sean about, so I nearly got Sean to help me with my social, like, he has helped me with my social media quite a lot last year, but I was like, how do I present Ben Hawksworth, the coach consultant, who's a rough, at heart, I'm still a rough council house cunt, right? I've got ADHD and ASD. I've struggled with my mental health for as long as I can fucking remember because of that. Like, how do I present that person in an industry and in a sector where it's all about showboating and Dubai and fucking vision and how much money you're earning and 7-figure scaling systems? And it's something that I really struggled to connect with because I was like, my ability is very different to who I am as a person. And it's people like Sean Casey and shout out Sarah Catterson as well, and Beth Dobson and all these people who are really good content creators who basically turned around and said, like, the one thing that makes you stand out to these people is you, Ben. The reason that we work with you is because of you. And that's something that I really struggled to kind of connect with. And because me and Sean had like a period for 6 months where we spoke every single day. Like, that's why the WhatsApp got a bit fucking weird because we're blowing up there. But there was so many conversations where, like, and I think that for me now, I spoke on the podcast last week with Ocean about how everything always comes back down to meaning and purpose. What you've basically picked up with Sean there is like, yeah, he could make 300 grand in a day, but what meaning and purpose does it have to him? Mm-hmm. Like when you're working towards getting so for example, Sean could see what I see. So to put this into perspective, like when we had that first call and we was on about launching his ebook, I was like, look, this ebook could take in X amount of money. Glean app could be X amount per month. Social Circle could be X amount per month. He had meaning and purpose behind that point and doing that 6 to 8. Well, I'm not going to say 6 months. He had 12 months where he fucking blasted himself hard. He might have had a bit of a break here and there, but he still had to blast himself hard. I was like, if he had meaning and purpose to give it his all for 12 months and he set himself up for life. Mm-hmm. Because he knew that if he did that, he could pay off his parents' house mortgage. He could go traveling. He could buy all of his family cars. He could give that to charity. Like what you're picking up there is Sean Casey, obviously, as you know, is one of the. He's probably in the top 10 best performing people in the fitness industry and top 10 well known. There's not a single part of him and what he's achieved what come down to I want to have X amount of money in the bank.
Money's a byproduct.
So I'm jumping in now. Once he told me how much money he had in bank, and I went fucking mental at him. You remember?
I remember.
He said, and I went, this is not even a discussion. You are getting investments set up.
Yeah, that's the funny thing for me is because I never was doing this for money, but obviously I love the game of business and I love the game of helping people. And if I could build my business in an ethical and a good way that resulted in me making more money, money was a success metric at the same time. But I found myself, it's one of the reasons that I pulled back from trying to do more. I found myself working to make money. I loved doing like, if I do a big launch, I'm going to beat the money that I made from the last launch. But it wasn't for the money per se, but it was just because that was a success metric that meant that I was doing better than what I was doing previously. But I was living at home. I wasn't spending money. So I had all this money just accumulating in my different business bank accounts. And I just didn't really think to spend it. I don't really enjoy spending money that much on myself unless it's travel. I like spending money on other people. And I just had all this like money just sitting in my account, and I told Ben that it was all sitting there, and he's like, what the fuck? And he's like, what are you doing with it? I'm like, I'm just giving it away, like I'm just giving it to charity and stuff. And then he sort of talked me around in terms of getting set up with and getting some financial advice, getting some property. So I've got some property now, and that's property is nice because it's a safe investment. You know, if you put your money into that, it's going to end up giving you a return. But remember you were saying about the mortgage and getting the mortgage set up. I think that this sums me up well, and it's not necessarily a flex, it's just my personality type. I cannot stand being in rooms or on calls with people that are so serious but that's why I like working with Ben, because it was lighthearted, but it was fun, it was business. I had a call with a group of lawyers once, and Evan was on the call too, and I was trying to be like, oh well, what's the crack? And they were so serious, they were just straight down the middle, they were serious. Yeah. We were meant to give them tens of thousands of pounds. I was like, I'm not working with these people. I don't care. They can't have the fucking crack. I'm not working with them. I'm not doing it. We ended up getting away a better deal, remember, on the contracts for a
Mate, I
few,
fucking
yeah, mental.
that was a rape steal. That I've never
Yeah.
seen that before.
Yeah, so that my gut instinct worked there. I was on call with them people, and there were just there were no crack. There were minus crack. I like talking about, like, obviously we're going to get down to business, but let's talk about the weather or the fucking football or something a bit first. They just couldn't do that. And then the same thing happened when I was getting set up with property, and the mortgage advisor, he goes to me, "Oh, the mortgage is going to be a bit of a fucking ball ache to set up. There's you said Stacey done it for you," and I got on the call with the mortgage, and I was trying to have the crack with your man about getting the mortgage set up, and he was like, "Well, no, we're gonna do this." I was like, "Oh, mate, I can't listen to you." So I ended up sacking off the mortgage. This is how, like, instinctive, or like, just like, I'll just do things at a whim. I was like, "Mate, I'm not dealing with this." I sacked off the mortgage advisor, rang my accountant. I was like, can I just buy, does it make financial sense if I just buy these cash instead of getting the mortgage? And then Rand shouted at me for not getting the mortgage, but I was like, I'm just buying this one cash. I'm getting rid of this money that's in my account. So I've got it well drained now, because I sacked off the mortgage advisor. But I think that sort of sums up the way that I do business and the way that I do everything. It's like, I cannot deal with seriousness. I need to be able to have the crack with people. I need human connection. I hate being on a call with someone and they're just strictly business or strictly this. Even though I'm an extremely successful businessman financially, etc., there's a time and a place for it. But I crave lightheartedness. I crave just humanness in conversation, which I feel like a lot of people in the industry don't have. Everyone's so fucking serious. Why does everyone have to be so serious? Everyone's acting like you live forever. We're all eventually going to die, so you may as well have a bit of fun in the middle part.
Yeah, it's and I think a big lesson from that one is making sure that you've got the right people around you. So, for example, I have my meaning and purpose is I've got multiple properties and multiple investments, but that's all going to Remy. I'm not going to see that money. But for example, for me, I'm 30 years old and I know that I've already set my daughter up and potentially her kids down the line, like they're set up financially for life. And I said this on a post the other day, and I was like, my vision and my like dream is to basically set the Hawksworths up, because we've not had an easy run. Like, I'm not going to speak too much about it, but we've not had an easy run. Like, my parents, for example, my mum's parents were not great people in any way, shape or form. I've had obviously some bad situations with my aunties and uncles and stuff, but my mum, we're an absolute warrior. Like, she did the absolute best that she could with the cards that she was given, and with those cards that she's given to me, I'm going to play my fucking next generations with best hand they can possibly have, and that's my meaning and purpose. It's just like, why am I working? So, like, I'm very similar to Sean. Like, I got that defender, but I've wanted that defender for 5 fucking years, and I could have got it 5 years ago, but I didn't get it. But it's like, for me, it's always about, right, how can I actually do this for the other people around me? And investments and properties is a big one as well. But, like, for example, if I did not have Stacey, I would not do that, because I cannot deal with the back and forth fucking loopholes and shit that you have to do in terms of mortgage applications. Like,
Bro, that's why like, a lot of people thought why do you not? I just don't have that part of me that wants to sit and listen to it. And it wasn't that much of a whim decision. I did consult my accountant, and I was like, does it make logical sense if I just do this to move money? But I think for the next couple, I will have to get mortgages on them to keep some people happy.
You just get the right person to do it. Like, and that's so, for example, like, if I look like and when you're looking at scaling with your organization, like, for example, Sean and Evan are like yin and yang, and I remember seeing their dynamic when they first got together. Like, Sean's weaknesses are Evan's strengths, and Evan's weaknesses are Sean's strengths, and they work like perfectly in synergy with each other. It's very similar to me and Rob Sturman, who's my best friend, who's my chief operating officer. He runs all of my companies. Like, my strengths are his weaknesses, so I lift him up there. But also, where I'm not very good at, he's great at cleaning that up as well. And when you're starting to run a business, like, you've got to really, and it's not about running a business, running a life. Like, for example, I don't know when Sean is thinking, or maybe down the line looking at settling down, but Sean will have to have a real specific person that he's gonna settle down with, because that person will, like Stacey, will have to deal with who I am as a person. So something I wanted to actually do is I might actually set up a podcast with Stacey. Because I think that'd be funny. Is like, what is it actually like being married to someone like me? What
would the name of this podcast be?
Fucking hell, like, hopefully his marriage would last the full 60 minutes. But for example, like Stacey's like a great. I hate fucking about with the small stuff. I like big picture thinking. I'm a hunter. Do you know, like it's proper caveman. You've got hunters and you've got gatherers, right? And for example, Stacey is like the best. Or like within 24 hours, like I'd obviously forgot I needed to be in Dubai to sort something out. I was basically, because I'd missed an email, which is again my fault. But she'd booked me a flight. I were here, and she'd rented me an iMac to be delivered to my. So I literally landed. I had an iMac delivered to my apartment, and then I picked up to go to this place that I needed to go within an hour of landing in Dubai. If that was me organising that or Sean organising that, that'd fucking never happen. It just wouldn't. And when you start to have relationships around business, when you start to have friendships around business, when you start to have hiring in your own organisational structure, like you always need to think about, right, how does this person uplift my weaknesses? Because if you had two Sean Cases in one business, oh my god, it'd be fucking.
You are fucked. You are fucked.
The same as me.
But
if you had two Ben Oxus, I'd be like, who the fuck's that guy?
just to go back to the point on Evan, a lot of people would have said to me at the start, like, oh, it doesn't make much sense if you're going into business with Evan. It's like you've got the same skill set. It's like, why are you doing that? Whereas, like, Evan, as Ben said, like everything that I'm shit at basically, or just not as engaged with. Evan is incredible with. Like Evan is the one that organizes everything to do with Glean. He's the one that manages all the coaches. He's the one that organizes all the calls. He is a forward thinker. He's like it's incredible. He's one of the most hardworking people that I've ever came across in my life. We've been building Glean for like only been launched since last April, but we built it for a year before that. So basically, we've been doing it for over a year and a half. We haven't had a single argument. Don't get me wrong. You need to be able to be like, oh, I think this, I think that. But we're so aligned that it's even very rare that we will even disagree on anything. There's maybe been one or two things, and then usually it's like, oh, here's what I think, and it's like, oh, that's grand. But even down to things like the name Glean, it's like we had hundreds of different name suggestions. As soon as that came, we both agreed straight away. The logo, everything, it just works so well. And then obviously Orla is my sister who came in to help me originally with my ebook. So originally I was like, I'm doing an ebook, I need help with it, I need the fucking graphics done. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'll do that for you. And she was doing a degree at the time. She was taking ages to do it, and I was like, I'm looking to do a fucking ebook here. I'm going to go on the Fiverr and get someone just to do it for me if you don't want to do it. She was like, fine, I'll do it for you. I'll do it. So that's how me and Orla started working together. She done the first ebook, and then after doing the ebook, she started designing presentations for me to the academy, and then started designing everything for me with the social circle, with logos, and then became almost like an advisor in the business, helping me with business decisions, giving her input and things. Like, I don't even know, Orla's role started as graphics, but then it just, like, next thing you know, she's on all our calls, she's giving her input, she's my full-time organizer when I was going doing different speaking events and stuff like that. So a lot of people look at the business that I have, but it wouldn't be possible without the likes of Evan, and without the likes of Orla, and without the likes of so many other people that have helped me out along the way. I would have winged something together. I would have had something, no doubt, but it wouldn't have been this structure. That what I have now is extremely structured businesses with staff, with contracts, with formalities, with people being paid, with all of these moving parts. Sean Casey wouldn't be able to do that on his own. It just wouldn't happen. And I might be able to do it, but I would have fucking hated my life if I had to sort out all that shit and do it. There's so much that happens in terms of the runnings of the businesses and organizing events that I just don't have anything to do with. Even if you look at the likes of Social Circle, I hate organizing shit. So Dave's came in to help me with the community and social circle. He runs the breakout groups, and he organizes all the in-person events. We're doing Social Circle Ibiza this year. We done Marbella last year. All of that stuff, I don't have anything to do with organizing it or booking it. He sorts it all. The same with the Glean app in-person events. The same with the managing of everything and a lot of the calls behind the scenes in Glean app. Like all of these, I would call them more professional, structured, logical thinking stuff that needs to be done within the business. I don't really take anything to do with it. I'm very much the creative marketing, like coming on, I can just be myself, be lighthearted, and just bring people in that way. That's my role. But I think it's good. Everyone's very clear of their role, and we wouldn't be able to run the business without each other. But it's just worked out fucking perfectly, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember building out. It's funny. So, like, my job is scaling. My job's acquisition. It's marketing. It's everything else into that side. But what people forget about is the machine that's needed behind that. I feel like that's an area that I specialize in. Is I've been in so many different businesses and I've been in so many different situations. I spot problems before they are problems. And I remember pulling up Canva, and I basically built out this organizational structure to Evan and Sean, and they were like, what the fuck? And I was like, lads, if you want to run this business at that level, this is basically what you are going to need. And it's really important to understand that. It's like, sometimes it's not about just having for example, I always talk about skills, strategies, and systems. Sean is very skilled at social media, so that's why he got to such a good point where he had so many opportunities, right? Next from that point is strategies. Obviously, I put the strategies together, but that's kind of what I do. So the strategy was to get from A to B, so it got us from A to B, but the last thing is the system. And the system is going to be basically the organizational structure, the management formats, and everything else onto that side, because if you do not have the system behind running at the level that Sean is right now, it will all just fall to shit. Like, it'll cause so many different fucking problems. Like, organization and management makes money. Like, that's where I excel in, and that's the type of shit that I love. I love anything that's almost like I did a reel on this morning. Is I see business as like a big game. And that's why I love it, because I'm just like, oh, if we fill that gap, or if that's missing, or if we sequence that together, right, step one, step two, like step three, like my head works in that type of operational format with ADHD and I've obviously behavioral ASD. Like it's like fucking imagine the matrix of numbers in lists. That's basically how my head naturally operates. So it works perfectly in line with organization and management. So like I remember when I put the project plans in, I'd basically like, with Social Circle, I was like, right, Google Drive here, module, unit, format, thing, and I built all these drives, and it doesn't take me that much time at all, but just by building that little system was easy for Sean to just go in and go, right, bang, oh, I just need to do that, send it to an editor. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and that's the type of stuff that I fucking love the most. It's like, it comes down to skill systems and strategies, but like managing the person as well. Like Sean, what people do not see is almost the vulnerability to Sean Casey. For example, like when you see him on social media, you think this guy is the most confident person in the world. And there were plenty of times in 2024 where we needed to have a few chats to make, and I was like, look, you are doing the right thing. You are going to get through this. Like we are going to get to that objective. Because what you got to take into account, guys, is let's just say, for example, in the first 3 months of working together, we were building up into the ebook launch. But at the same time as that, he was rebuilding Social Circle with a model that I told him to do. He was building Glean App. He was not seeing any reward. And that's the hardest thing about business, is doing that fucking work where you're not even getting a reward for it yet. He was running like 60, 70 hour weeks, doing everything that I was assigning to him and everything that we needed for the businesses, and not getting a single reward from it. And I remember when the ebook went off and an incredibly successful launch, and he got that spark back again. It was like, fucking hell, sweet, and you get that reward. But then it went into another few months where we're back into grind mode. And there were a lot of periods there where, like, when you're so deep in it like that, you almost forget to see clearly. You almost forget to appreciate what you've done. Like, people think it's a case of you start getting hundreds of thousands of pounds into your bank account and you're suddenly really, really happy. You're happy when you're living your life based on how you want to live it, and you're doing the things that you want to do with it. And that's like, and I think that from my perspective, like, I loved supporting Sean as a person with his evolution. Like the only times that it fucking pissed me off is where he'd not reply to me. But we did speak, to be fair, that's probably me even needed. We spoke every day for about 7 months, and then when it basically, like, this is the only way I could describe it. It's like, we were up here, like, imagine, you can see this on camera, as communication were like up there at like 99% for 7 months. I swear on my life, when Glean App were launched and it were done, he just fucking didn't speak. He just didn't fucking speak to me for 3 months.
Who was it?
Stop replying to me.
I was done, lad. I was like, oh fuck, my head's scrambled here. I don't want to do it. I don't want to hear about any fucking systems or fucking satin or like, lad. I'm just chilling here. But that's my number one flaw. The only person that's ever guaranteed a reply off me is Evan Daly. He's the only person that I reply to consistently, and I have an awful like. There's just so much going on, and there's so many people messaging me, and it's not an excuse, but I just tend to zone out and just not reply. Like, oh, I'll get back to that, because see, if I'm to reply to, like, I'm doing my work block and stuff like that, and then even like friends and family, I'm like, I need to sit down and do another hour work block just to reply to everyone here, so I'm just not going to do that. But I need to, I definitely need to get better at that. But what you were saying there about money, not like necessarily as soon as you have hundreds of thousands of pounds in your bank account, you're not going to be happy. Money puts you in a position to create a life that will make you happy, but the money in isolation will not make you happy. And a lot of people chase money thinking it is the money that will solve all their problems, but they don't know how to properly utilize the money to set up the life that they want. So some of the most unhappy people are some of the people that are just making money and not actually utilizing it in a way that improves their quality of life. They're just making more money and more money and more money. And from the outside looking in, they seem happy. They're talking about how much money they're making. They're doing this and that, but it's all for show. What really makes you happy is thinking, what do you want your day to day life to look like? Sort of like what I was talking about previously. And how do you want to start channeling your money to actually set that up? Like, some of the most unhappy times in my life has been when I've been making hundreds of thousands of pounds in single days, but then it's just on to the next thing and on to the next thing. And as Ben said, I'm a person that strives with being around people. And I think what a lot of people don't realize about being an online coach or working on online in general, it's a work from home office job where you're secluded from the rest of the world. So if you're not building in your social interaction, if you're not building in your social time, because a lot of people, your whole life you went to school and you got social interaction without thinking about it. And then a lot of people go and work a job. They work a job and they don't like their job. A lot of people don't like their job, but what they are getting from that job, what they take for granted, even what I got when I worked at McDonald's, which I miss sometimes about working at McDonald's, is just the social interaction that you get, going and having the crack, being surrounded by people. I stopped getting that from my work and from my job. And then when it was grinding and wasn't doing anything else, your head gets a bit scrambled. You're out of routine and you don't put two and two together. So the money for me now is creating freedom to live the life that I want, to be able to travel, spend time with people, to go out and have time to train for a couple hours per day, to have time to meet a friend for a walk or a coffee, to not be working all the time. That's what money does for me. But money is not the causation of happiness. It just puts you in a position to live a life of freedom and set your life up in a way that you want. But for some reason, once people start making money, they get so obsessed with making money that they forget the purpose of it, and they forget to fully utilize it to improve their quality of life. And often it becomes at the detriment of their life. It becomes something that makes their life worse instead of better.
Yep. So a big point that Sean's kind of made there, and it's something that this took me probably only until 2024 I really connected with this. So I've obviously done business for a very, very long time. I've had like work blocks where I've disappeared for like 3-4 months at a time. I've gone to Ibiza, or I've gone to Vegas. I've come to Dubai and I've rented a fucking 150-foot black spec ops super yacht. Like, I've had black business flights, like eating at best, basically all of these things that spike dopamine, right? And it spikes how good you feel, where you go on holiday, you go on that trip and you have the best hotel room and have all this type of stuff. And I feel like I did that for such a long period of my life. And I used to think of, well, if I work really hard, I'm going to get to that point and then I'll enjoy it. But what you got to take, and that's where I feel that's where I went so wrong with it. It's like, for example, like when my Remy was coming up to like 7-8 months old, I couldn't really take her out before, but I felt really distant from Stacey. I felt really distant from Remy, and one little thing that I added in this year was basically I finished work at 4 o'clock, and regardless of rain, sun, snow, wind, I've got this backpack and I go for a walk with Remy. Just adding that into my day has made me appreciate and feel better. I've got more steps in. I've spent more time with my daughter. I've cut off from work at a certain time, and that tiny little walk has made my day-to-day life and fulfillment 10 times better. And I'm going to be honest, like, we're only 23 days in 2025, but right now I'm performing and my output and everything I'm doing is the best that it's ever been in my career across the whole company, and everyone's seen it. And I look back and I'm like, it's that little walk. It's that tiny little fucking walk with my daughter every single day. because I'm working harder, my output's higher, but I know that I'm doing something that I really enjoy doing every single day. And I feel like that's where I went wrong, and I don't want people to do the same. Is you should have one thing in your... So I know that Sean likes going for a dog walk with his family, for example. And when you're so deep in work, guys, you get to a point where you skip that walk. You skip spending time with them doing that. You skip doing that. And you get to this thing where you're going, right, well, you've worked really, really hard and you've got to that point and had that success and you've got that, done that thing. But you've just had 3 months where you've not actually enjoyed every single fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got like Kieran always, he's big on this, and I love this. I love this same thing. Is like, what is the fucking point? Like, what is the point in losing like 6 months of your life or a year of your life? Like, you see a lot of fucking people saying like, you need to give this absolutely everything. Like I've just said to you, I am performing at a better level across content, business, our own team, our clients, as a dad, as a husband, just by thinking, right, how do I actually set up my day so I really enjoy it?
And see if you know the way you're saying about having the cutoff time at 4 o'clock. I guarantee you get the same amount of work done compared to if you just had a no cutoff time. You're like, I'm going to work till 8. See, when you set a structured amount of time that you have to do to get tasks done, you get the tasks done. A lot of people are working by the hour instead of working by the task. You should have a certain amount of tasks that you want to get done each day. It's not a success if you've worked 12 hours in a day. If you've got fuck all done in 12 hours, a lot of people can get 12 hours work done in 4 or 5 hours if they just sit and do focus work blocks. Whereas I think a lot of people wear it as a badge of honor, where it's like, I'm getting up at this time and I'm working until this time and I'm doing this every single day. Unless you're fucking Donald Trump, it's not sustainable to do that all the time. You'll end up burning yourself out. Whereas if you set an actual allocated time to get tasks done, you'll get them tasks done, and then it gives you the freedom to have that time in your day where you can do stuff. For, like, as you say, you're going for a walk with Remy. It can be literally anything, going out training the evening. I think it's important in your daily life that you take a bit of a separation from work as well, and do stuff and spend time with people that have got fuck all to do with work. A lot of people are like, oh, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You need to only be surrounded with high earners. A lot of the fucking high earners are plonkers. They're dickheads. I don't like spending time with them. I love spending time with my mates that I train with gym, and they're not business owners. They're not making hundreds of thousands. They work normal jobs, but they're good crack. I enjoy their company, so I don't need to be the fucking average of the 5 people that I spend the most time with. And the other thing is, just because you've got money doesn't mean that you're successful. There's lots of areas of your life that you can be successful in. For example, my mates that don't have businesses are much more successful than me in different areas of their life that I always learn from. So I think a lot of people get drawn into the trap. Everything's business, everything's money, everything's networking. You always need to be surrounded by high net worth individuals. You don't. You don't need to be. You're not the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are your own person that does your own thing, and who you spend time with, yes, can influence you, and yes, it can help you. And I've learned so much from spending time with people that are doing well in business, but at the same time, I enjoy spending time mostly with people that aren't even in business, and that works really well for me. And what that does is it gives me a separation from always talking about business, always talking about. So I love just not talking about that stuff, and I love that separation. And I feel like that's a area that you don't hear that advice too often. It is always like you need to be getting yourself in these circles, which you do. You do need to spend time with people that are doing well, and you will learn off them, and that will help you. The amount of people that have grown their business and grown their socials just from spending time with me, and the amount of business growth that I've had by spending time with people like you and other people that have helped me, it's incredible. But I think on my day-to-day life, I enjoy spending time with non-business owners a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's like network. Was it say your network? No, your net worth is your network. I agree with that and disagree with it at the same time, because it depends on what you actually see as worth. I know networking groups. I know people who are well into that type of stuff, and I've actually attended shit like that before, and all it's turned out to be is a massive dick measuring competition.
How big's my cock? How big's your cock?
Yeah,
Look how much money's in my...
And for example, it just doesn't sit right with me at all. I'm someone who keeps my cards to my chest. So I've said this before on podcasts where it's like, there's that many people who know what other people are earning in this day and age now. It blows my fucking mind. Like, the amount of people who've come to me and turned around and said, "Oh, do you know X, Y, and Z's earning that much per month?" And I'm like, how the fuck do you know that?
Hmm.
Like, if you're at 7 figure point, 6 figure point, that whatever, it's open window. But when someone's coming and saying, oh, they've hit an X amount month, I'm like, why? At what point in life and business did it become okay to just start talking about that type of shit openly? Like, if you went back to 5 to 10 years ago, no, what you were like, I wouldn't even ask. So, for example, like I would have when I was a kid, I'd have never dreamt of asking my dad how much he earns.
I still don't know how much my dad earns. He never told me, and it really pissed me off because I always wanted to know how much fucking money dad earns, but he would never, ever, ever
Yeah,
tell
you
me.
don't. Because and that's where I feel like it's kind of changed in the last few years because it's become a status thing. Right? It's become obviously social media. It's more accessible information, but it's like you've got people who are directly coming in and just turning around and promote and boasting about how much they're earning or telling other people what they're earning. I'm like, and when you go into some networking groups, guys, like yeah, there's some networking groups out there which are absolutely incredible, but there's a lot out there which is just literally a case of how much are you earning versus what am I earning, what are you doing versus what I'm not, and it just becomes this and for me that's not a positive group that you want to be in. Like you want to be around people that lift you up. Like you want to be for example, I joined a program at the back end of this year, and I joined this program because the guy who was running it and the people in it who are quite aligned to me, where they were straight talking, no bullshit type of people. Whereas I've seen it before, where I've joined other programs, and I thought, oh, that looks a bit appealing. I'm gonna see what that's about. And I've joined it. I'm like, I don't like the energy in here. Like I don't like what this is about. It doesn't align to me. And thing is, guys, if you're one of those people who gets highly motivated by someone else's success, then that's great. Like you need to, because end of the day, if you can't motivate yourself, then you need to basically make sure that you are doing that. But at the same time, right, if you are someone who feels better when you are grounded, when you're around the right people, like me and Sean, for example, like don't beat yourself up because you want to go and spend fucking time with your mates. If you're going and spending time with your mates and you're doing negative behaviors and doing stupid shit, then yeah, you need to fucking look at what type of stuff that you're doing. But like, just because someone's earning X amount of money does not mean that they are worth or less any less or any more.
100%. 100%. You're off the drink now, are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna have like one or two here and there. Like I'm not one of them where it's like I want to go completely sober. But for example, like I've been around alcohol all my whole life, and I've seen the
Same.
negative effects that it kind of has. And I've had same as Sean in my early 20s. I used to go out boozing, drugs, and all that type of stuff. But then after like 25, it was more of a case of I kind of get to a point where I was having a good week and I was having a drink, I was having a bad week and I was having a drink. And when Remy was born, for example, I found myself like going to get that beer a bit more or going to have that drink a bit more. And it weren't a case of I had a drinking problem and stop. It was just the fact that I wanted to kind of detach from that attachment to it. And I know Sean's obviously he went sober for a full year, but he still goes out and has a few now and again, and that's the thing for me is like I don't really want to. I don't have any lust to have that feeling of being really drunk anymore.
Hmm.
Is that I think, and that's the thing for me. It's not the fact that I don't like drink because I love a fucking hell. You give me a pint of Leffe. Have you had a pint of Leffe before?
No, I don't think so.
Oh mate, Belgian beer. If you've not had a pint of Leffe, guys, get a pint of Leffe. Fuck it. It's like 7% beer. It's strong as fuck, but it's I can even taste it there. So I don't mind. It's not the thing about alcohol. It's just the fact that I've got ADHD. Everything I do is like a challenge. If I start drinking, I'm not drinking because I want to have that drink. I'm drinking because it's like, how do I get to the objective of being drunk?
Yeah, and I think for me, I had quite a poor relationship with alcohol where I was blacking out quite consistent every time I drank. And it got to a stage where it was having much more negatives than positives on my life. So, done the year sober. I actually ended up doing almost 500 days sober because that was when we were doing like the Glen launch and all that stuff. So I done that, and it was one of the best things that I ever done. But then I decided to take a drink again, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're drinking again? Like I can't believe it. Sure, you've gone this far. Why would you go back to drink now?" So like, because I enjoy going out and having a drink, and this is a subjective one because a lot of people were like, "You shouldn't need that," but I love having a drink because it gives me the ability to switch off, and I don't think a lot of people understand that if you do run your own business and do all this stuff, you very rarely switch off. Whereas if you're out with your mates, you're having a drink, you're having a few pints, you're not thinking about work, you're having the crack. It gives you the ability to fully switch off. And people would argue with that and be like, "Well, if you need a drink to switch off, you have a problem." Blah blah. Blah. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I go out and I have a drink the odd odd time. I'm not drinking every single week. At the minute, I probably drink once every couple of months. Over summer, that summer when I started having a drink again, I was in Marbella, I was in Barcelona, I was in Ibiza. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I did not black out. I did not do anything stupid. I did not. I wasn't like, because I firmly believe that year off the drink fixed my relationship with alcohol. It gave me an appreciate. Where previously I would have been like, I'm not drunk. I need to drink more. I need to drink more. Whereas now I have a few drinks and be like, oh yeah, because I was sober for so long that I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I can feel the effects of the drink and I can enjoy this. And I'm more controlled with my drink. I'm more like, right, I'll have a glass of water in between this. I don't need another drink now. So a much better relationship with it. But I'll say this on the record. I really enjoy drinking. I enjoy it, and it's something that I want to keep in my life. At the minute, don't get me wrong. If drink ever causes me problems with anything to do with like family or like public image, all that stuff, because I'm blacking out, making a fool of myself, I've already said it'll be cut out immediately.
Yeah.
But if I can go out and have a few drinks and it allows me to switch off, it loosens you out a bit. I do enjoy. I enjoy the full process, and as long as it's not being taken too far, it's a beautiful thing.
Love that. Love that. Right, guys.
You're gonna be going for a pint after this
I
podcast.
know, yeah. I might get delivery or something to drop it off. Well, you can't. There's only certain places you can drink in Dubai.
Oh yeah, right. No. Right.
Yeah,
no.
I might have. I don't even know what. Oh, I'm meeting. I've not met him before. A guy called RGL Filmhouse. A message on Instagram to go for a campfire and a beer in the desert tomorrow night. So proper Brokeback Mountain in sand type thing with a few lads. Can't wait.
That's one thing that I would actually. Dubai's never appealed to me that much, but I would like to go in the fucking desert and do the quad bikes and the fucking dune buggies and all.
Yeah, it's like the best way I could describe it. I obviously come to Dubai quite a lot. Once you've done Dubai, the best time I went to Dubai, I actually spoke about this on a YouTube video the other day. So it was a good few years ago, and it was the first time I did like an $100,000 month, and I was like, right, everyone's going to Dubai. So I rented this fucking massive villa on the Palm. Got like a fucking Ferrari, a Lambo, a G-Wag. We were skydiving. We were going out for meals. Like, I was getting proper pissed up every night and then doing like 8 podcasts the next day.
I don't know how the fuck you done that, lad. I don't know. You told me about that before. Like,
mate, I need to reactivate some podcasts from Dubai, because I'm going to go through and some of my old podcasts I'm going to get back on YouTube, because since I started the channel, because I want to do alt covers up on them to all new stuff. But yeah, like once you've done Dubai once and you experience it all, it is just a lot of the same stuff. Like for me, yeah, it's great coming out here. All my best mates are out here. So Morgan is my best man. Ben Bray is my best friend. Like he's out here. Like, so it's great because I get to see them. But for me, like nothing competes to being home at UK. It's where I feel happiest. It's where I feel most content. But yeah.
How much is it to fucking, people always renting them, like how much is it to rent a Ferrari and a Lambo and all out there? Like,
it depends how long you do it for. I think it like $1,000. I think I spent about £4,000 to rent the Lambo, Ferrari, and G-Wag for like, I think it like $4,500 for 2 days. But they fuck at that. Be careful with it, because like they try to turn around and saying we've got scratches and all this shit X, Y, and Z, which I don't think we did. But like, I'm not gonna say what was happening, but I was in about 180 mile an hour on back roads in desert in a Lambo. Alex Whitehead was sat next to him, and I remember him looking at me, and he was just like the most scared he's ever been.
I do not condone that behavior. No, I don't think I'll be in Dubai in a hurry. I'll go at some stage, but again, it's not somewhere that's like I have a fucking hard on for.
Yep. Right, I'll wrap up there because I've got a few things to sort now for the next call. Thank you, Sean Case, for coming on. An incredible client, an incredible friend, and someone that I'll have a relationship for a very long time, I'm sure, bro.
Thanks for having me, mate.